Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I am Patience. And in today's video, we are talking about what could be a very serious problem. So let's get straight into it. Are people really spending their 401k money on concert tickets? The artist that was offering the headline was about Beyonce, but there's also Taylor Swift, and there's a ton of other artists who are on tour right now, and people are alluding to dipping into their 401k or retirement accounts just so they can fund some concert tickets. I hope this is not true, but let's say you did that, or you want to do that, or you know somebody who did. What are you really getting yourself into? I'm just gonna break it down as to what is going on, and is it wise to dip into your 401k IRAs just so you can go to a concert? So I'm just gonna use mostly Beyonce as the artist, but again, it's not about her, it's about all the different artists that are on tour right now. I know after the pandemic, a lot of artists have been on tours because things are open, stadiums are allowed, and they just have huge tours, and the prices are very high. Concert tickets could always be on the higher side, but I do remember that when Taylor Swift went on her, I think it was Reputation World Tour, that's when I started seeing this like slow selling method where the prices were so high. Her fans were baffled as to how high the concert tickets was, and apparently it was a way of stopping robots from buying all these concert tickets and then reselling to people at a much higher price. And I do think that that could have been the motivation, but the motivation is also money, that the artists can earn more, because who do you think is now making a bulk of the profit now that resellers can't resell the tickets? It's obviously the artist who's now charging double and triple for what they otherwise would have. And who gets the short end of the sticks? The customers, which are the fans, who are spending their hard-earned money to go see concerts. Now, I don't believe that you should not go to concerts. I personally don't see myself going to a ton of concerts. There are not many artists that I would go to a concert for, and I definitely wouldn't be spending this type of money on any artist. Maybe if I was like super rich, maybe, but at the moment there's not a single artist, and I'm not even really into pop music anymore, so I find it really hard to believe that Christian artists will be selling their ticket for this much. But who knows, maybe they are. So you do my research, I found about $200 is like the lowest you can pay for a concert ticket for Beyonce concert, and for semi-decency you're looking about $350, and the most pricey was $13,000 for like a full VIP package. I don't know if that's very much true, but that's what I saw. I've not been there, and I don't know many people have been to a Beyonce concert, so feel free to put in the information if you know what the most expensive is. But I did see some quote as high as $13,000 for like a whole package. Like, I'm guessing it's like VIP, backstage photos, meet and greet. That's about how much on the highest end spending. Now let's talk about why it is bad to dip into your 401k just to fund these expenses. So we're gonna take about average. I see a lot of people say they spend about $800, $500 on their concert ticket. So I'm thinking like that's about the popular range. But let's talk about why it's just bad to dip into your 401k or retirement account to fund these. Because the problem is not just that you're going. You can go to these concerts, but when you start dipping into your retirement, that's where the problem comes in. So the first one is just financial irresponsibility. It is financially irresponsible to dip into your retirement account, especially your tax advantage retirement account. Any financial advisor will tell you this. I'm not a financial advisor, but any of them will definitely tell you this. Now, it's even worse when you're doing it for a concert ticket. That is a one-time experience. Now, there are some exceptions like a Roth IRA that you can dip into, taking only the principal, what you've already contributed, to buy a house, and I think for some qualifying education. However, going in there for a concert ticket is really financially irresponsible, because it means that you didn't plan, and it definitely means that you don't understand the financial implications on the right now and in the future when you take out of your 401k, especially your traditional 401k. The next thing is that you are stealing from your future. When you're contributing to a 401k, like a traditional 401k or a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, or a Roth 401k, you are saving for the future. It's about your retirement. A lot of Americans don't have enough to retire. Pensions are practically a thing of the past, and if you don't save on your own, it becomes much harder to save the older you get. Compound interest is said to be the eighth wonder of the world. That's because the money you contribute today has substantially more time to grow and compound in interest versus the money you would even invest a year from now, 10 years from now, and definitely 20 years from now. So the time value of money, and this is for my class in engineering economics because I'm doing my master's degree, so I'm doing engineering economics. It's my first class. It's kind of exciting. And we say that the time value of money, and what makes money equal its time. So what's the difference between, say, $10 that you have today and like $300 that you have like 30 years from now? Those monies could very well be the same based on interest rates. It's just the time value of money. Give money time and it will grow. So if you're taking from your retirement, you are basically stealing more money from your future, just so that you can fund what you want now. Going to a concert is an experience, but it's not a need, it's a want. So when you are dipping into a 401k to fund a concert ticket, that's a problem, and you're stealing from your future. Now, of course, you can say, well, I would just add more money. I would keep contributing. But it's rarely that if you could barely save on your own for that concert ticket without dipping in, you're somehow just gonna make more money and ramp it up. You're still not gonna get that time value of that money that you lost. Next is that you're gonna have to pay taxes on this money. If you're taking from your traditional 401k or traditional IRA, that means that it is pre-tax money. You have not paid taxes on that money. Therefore, if you take it out, you will have to now pay taxes on it. And at the end of the year, it will be added as if you earn that money on top of your regular salary, so it could push you into a higher tax bracket, and you will have to pay taxes on that money. Unlike when you contribute to a 401k, you don't pay any federal taxes on it because it's almost like you didn't earn that money. So for example, if you were earning $60,000 and you put $10,000 a year into your traditional 401k, it will make it look like you earned $50,000 for federal taxes, and you will pay it in the future. Now, if you take it out now, it's like, okay, now you earn this money. Because at first they act like you didn't earn it, it's not there, but now it's there. You took it out and now you have to pay taxes on that money. That's just how it goes. The next thing is that you have to pay a penalty because you touched that money before you were 59 and a half. And that's if you're under 59 and a half. If you are over, feel free. But if you're not, 10% penalty for taking out that money early. And this is the government's way of making sure that people are not dipping into their retirement accounts like it's a savings account. It's not. Your savings account, your emergency fund should be somewhere else accessible. But these ones, because they're tax advantage, you're getting some benefits from it. The government wants to discourage you from touching that money because, again, Americans are struggling to have enough to retire. If you keep dipping into your retirement before you even retire, you're definitely not gonna have enough in the future. So this is a way of discouraging people from dipping into their 401k every time they need money for this, money for that. Find another method. So the next is that your taxes and your penalty will be about 40%. So you're gonna pay taxes on that money and you're gonna pay a penalty. So you're expecting about that 40% range, maybe anywhere from 30 to 40%. And this means that for every dollar you take out of your 401k, you're gonna be paying 40 cents on the dollar. That is almost like a 40% interest rate. Some credit cards are not charging this much. Personal loans are not. So if you take out, say, $1,400 for a concert ticket, which some people are paying, you will end up being penalized about $560 in penalties for taking it out of your 401k, your traditional 401k. And that is just a lot of money to be losing. Most of us would not borrow money, $1,400 from somebody, just so that we can pay them back almost $2,000. Next one is that I did mention that credit cards are not a 40% penalty. However, putting on a credit card is just as bad because most credit cards are about 20 to 30% interest rates range. So if you are putting money on a credit card that you can't afford, so obviously you're not going to pay it off in the next month or the end of the month or maybe in a few months, it's a bad idea. It is adding to your credit card debt. Credit card debt is over $1 trillion in the country right now. And people complain that the reason why they use credit cards is because they can't feed their families, because they don't have money to buy things that they actually need. But when you have people then on top of that putting something that is a want, such as going to a concert, on your credit card, you are adding to your credit card debt for an experience that you can have in the future. So if you're thinking that 40% to take it out of your 401k is a lot of money, but you don't mind paying 20% on a credit card, I just want to give my opinion that that is still not a great idea. Next, that getting a personal loan for this is also not the answer. Let's say you want to do like a 10% personal loan. That is still not the greatest idea. So let's say you get a personal loan for $1,400 for a year and you get a 10%. Now you have to pay $140 to go to that concert. Now that's definitely much less than the $560 for your 401k or the over $200-300 you be spending if you put on a credit card in interest. Still, it's not a great idea because you're still taking out money, borrowing money, putting yourself in a vulnerable situation just for an experience that you would just be fine not going to. I have never read of a case where somebody suffered a health complication because they couldn't go to a Taylor Swift concert or a SZA concert or, you know, even a Michael Jackson concert. Like you will be just fine, okay? You will be just fine not going. So taking out a personal loan because it's a much lower interest rate than a credit card or taking out your 401k, I don't think is a solution either. Now the next thing you can do is to rather just make a space in your budget for it. Now you know that artists go on tour every time. If an artist announces that they are going to put in an album, more likely than not, you're gonna tour that album or a tour is around the corner. So if you know that, just start making a fund where you can contribute for your next concert. So you may miss this one, but more likely than not, you're gonna go on tour another time. So just make a fund and just start contributing. If you start contributing, let's say $10, $20, or even $50 a month, at the end of the year, you have about $600. You can contribute $50 a month. And then in the next year, it's $1,200. The next year is $1,800. So by the time the artist comes about 2-3 years later for the next concert, you have money to fund that concert. If you still like them anyway, and if you still want to go, you might realize that that money is better spent elsewhere and follow through with that. But at least you will not have to consider going into debt for it. Which goes to my next point, which is that it is just not worth going into debt to see any artist. Most experiences are not worth going to debt for, but definitely not for a concert. Especially nowadays that you can watch on YouTube, social media. I know it's not exactly the same. It is still not worth going into debt just so that you can have that experience, because those artists are multi-millionaires. A lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of the big artists who are charging these prices are multi-millionaires or close to even billionaires. So you're funding your pocket while depleting yours. And then we like to talk about, oh, the rich get richer and the poor gets poorer. Well, if you're dipping into your 401k, you definitely are making yourself poorer. And if you're putting on a credit card and you can't afford to pay at the end of the month, you're making yourself poor. And if you're taking a personal loan to go to an artist concert, you're also making yourself poor. So really consider what your priorities are. Do you prioritize financial stability over going to a Beyonce, Taylor Swift, or any other artist concert? How much are you invested in their lives versus yours? I choose mine anytime over any artist because they will choose theirs over yours as well. And it's not to be mean, it's not to be pessimistic about it. I do know that we all want to have fun in life. We want experiences, and sometimes you may see an experience as priceless. But for a concert, there is a price. How much are you willing to pay for it? And for me, spending thousands of dollars to go to a concert is not where I am in my life, and definitely I would not be dipping into my retirement account to fund this. Now let's take an example as to how much money you truly could be losing if you are dipping into your retirement account, because it's not just the money that you take that you lose, but you lose on the future value of that money. The example I am using is $1,500, and the reason why I'm using $1,500 rather than even a small amount is because I've heard this number be thrown around for big artist concerts as to how much people are spending on them, but also because I doubt somebody's dipping into their 401k for like $200. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most people are dipping into their 401ks for like at least $1,000. And so $1,500 is a good medium. So let's take an example of this fan who is a 30-year-old and is a fan of Beyonce or Taylor Swift or one of these artists who's touring. And they have a 401k that they want to dip into, take $1,500 and go to one of their concerts. Now they also have plans to retire at 64 years old, which is about 34 years into the future. So they're 30, they want to retire at 64, and they're taking out $1,500. How much money are they truly losing in the moment versus the future? So in the moment, they're losing the $1,500 plus the taxes and the fees that they will have to pay on it, the penalty. And so they're losing over $2,000 in the moment. But the future is even more. Now, I did not include the penalty on this because the penalty has a future amount as well. But you know what? We're not going to add that. We're just going to add what you're losing in terms of the $1,500. So let's say that at the age of 30, the $1,500 is invested in an index fund that is returning 8% a year. So after 34 years, it would have been $20,535.20. So that $1,500 they're losing in the moment is worth over $20,000 in the future. Now let's say that it was returning 9%. They are losing $28,092.60 in the future. Let's go with 10%. In 34 years, they would have lost $38,321.50. Now let's go to an 11% interest rate, and for 34 years, should have lost $52,128.18. Does that concept keep looking better or worse right now? Now let's go to the last one, which is 12%, which is also very realistic. After 34 years, they would have lost $70,713.78. Is it worth it? Would you pay $78,000 right now to go see Taylor Swift or Beyonce? If you wouldn't pay it now, maybe you should be dipping into your 401k now to pay it, because that's how much you're losing. And the reason why I use about 8 to 12% is because those are very realistic for index funds and the stock market in general. Those are average returns over a long period of time. Now the argument could be that, oh, the stock market could dip by 10, 20, 30% in 1 year, but this is over a 34-year period. Over a 10-year period, stock markets in the United States has not lost money. The S&P 500 has not lost money in its over 50-year history. Dipping into your 401k is just not a good idea. I know you want to have that experience, but if you do, in my opinion, it is best to have a fund, and to have a fund for experiences that you want to have, and start investing in yourself in that aspect, separate from your retirement, stealing from your future to the tune of $70,000 could be detrimental to your future, especially when you realize that the average American does not even have $300,000 to retire on. So by the way, I did want to add that this is the base, so it's not like you're contributing on a monthly basis. This is just the money you invest now at $1,500 that you invest today. So do know that that money that you're taking out of your 401k could be worth so much more. And if you wouldn't pay $78,000 for that ticket, you should be dipping into your 401k for $1,500 to buy that ticket. Instead, keep having that fund, keep saving money on the side, and when these moments come along, just like a vacation, just like anything else, you instead tap into that fund versus tapping into your 401k. So thank you so much for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know in the comment section, have you ever dipped into your 401k or retirement account to attend a concert or for something else like go on vacation? And would you ever do that? Do you think these prices are ridiculous just to go see an artist for one night? Let me know in the comment section. And remember to ring the notification bell because I post 2 videos a week on Tuesdays and on Fridays. Come on over because the conversation is always great and you would want to know what we're talking about next. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.